Hey guys, it's Commonwealth Thespian here, and, well, we're gonna talk about some stuff tonight. We're gonna talk about something really dumb. Oh, Vince. Sweet, arrogant, egotistical Vince McMahon. As you can see, guys, I'm gonna be talking about the incident that happened with the WWE over Halloween weekend, I guess. Halloween between weekend, whatever. So, for anybody who doesn't know what's going on, WWE just recently did a pay-per-view called the Crown Jewel, which is held in Saudi Arabia. This is the first time they've done a pay-per-view like this. They've made many of these like plenty of times before, with a lot of backlash from a lot of people, even from some superstars who did refuse to go. Well, Crown Jewel happened, and it was all pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, like I said, once again, a lot of superstars just went to go to this event to do some wrestling in some high heat weather and put on some pretty okay matches, with the exception of Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar, which it was a 2-minute match. And after that, I even heard that Cain Velasquez's knee was like messed up the entire time. So why was he cleared to wrestle? I don't know. I don't probably care because, Vince is probably sitting there going, yes, big sweaty men wrestle each other. I don't really care for a story. I don't care for anything 50-50 booking all the way. Now, two big things came out of this. Well, three, I guess. The match with Brock and Cain Velasquez. The fact that Tyson Fury, a celebrity boxer, won his match with Braun Strowman. And three, the Fiend Bray Wyatt actually won the championship after beating Seth Rollins in a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualifications, can't be stopped for anything match. I swear to God. This should have happened at Hell in a Cell, but you know what? That's a whole different can of worms we're not going to open right now. So basically, when it was time for everybody to leave Saudi Arabia, there were reports that there were a lot of mechanical issues with the plane. And basically, a lot of the WWE superstars were stuck in Saudi Arabia for the remainder of Friday. They didn't get back till, I believe, Saturday morning or Saturday evening. Now, at first, the big thing was like it was plane issues, and not many people could get connecting flights out to go back to the States in time. Because at this point, Crown Jewel, which aired on Thursday, which means after the show, after the show, the superstars would have to quickly fly back to the States to do SmackDown. Well, that didn't happen. And as a result of practically half the SmackDown roster being gone, it was anybody who didn't go to Crown Jewel was stuck, was there, while they decided to pull the trigger on two things. One being the NXT invasion angle, which was basically this whole thing where it sets up that Survivor Series this year will be SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT, which I'm super excited for. And the second thing that they pulled the trigger on was Brock Lesnar was going to be moving to Raw to beat up Rey Mysterio, even though Rey Mysterio has been showing up on SmackDown with Cain Velasquez, kind of like acting like that kid who brings his brother and he's like, "That's the guy who beat me up." And then the brother gets his ass kicked too because we can't make Brock look weak, guys. It's not like he's gonna leave and we'll never see that championship for 400 days, and he comes back whenever he wants to. Anyways, so yeah, that's what happened. The Brock supposedly quitting SmackDown, going to Raw, was supposed to happen on WWE's talk show thing that they have on FS1, but whatever. However, some more news came out over the weekend that things about the whole plane malfunction might have not been true. So I'm reading this off my Instagram, and let's see. This was some people went to Dave Meltzer. He's, anybody who doesn't know who he is, he's like this big wrestling podcaster guy. I think he did work for the company at one point, and he has like a lot of insiders, people going, telling him things and whispering in his ears. I was listening to him for a while when he was talking about Bayley possibly going heel back when she was feuding with Alexa Bliss with that kendo stick match, and that never happened. Hey, no time like the present have heel Bayley. So basically, I'm gonna read from here. I'm sorry if I'm like looking down, I'm trying to like look presentable for you guys. My closet's open, whatever. So on the Ladies Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer added some more details to the situation that WWE talent and crew had to deal with. I was reported WWE wasn't paid for the Superstar Showdown in Saudi Arabia on June 7th as of September 30th. It was noted in the WWE third quarter earnings call. WWE avoided answering questions regarding Saudi Arabia, although they did mention getting $60 million after September 30th. That's when the reports closed, and before October 31st, hours before Crown Jewel. Meltzer noted that there was clearly money owed by the Saudis. Because of this, Vince McMahon didn't televise Crown Jewel live in Saudi Arabia, and it ended up being on a delay after the two sides made an agreement during the show. Talent was apparently aware that money was owed. So, yeah, they were supposed to be simulcast during to Saudi Arabian television, but that never happened. But it was a slight delay on everything. In regards to the plane having mechanical failures, a majority of the talent who reached out to Meltzer didn't believe the story. Military police were there while they waited. Not to mention it took them 24 hours to get them to finally go, and the second flight that was supposed to go was also delayed. Some of the talent reportedly said they will not go back to Saudi Arabia and can't wait to get out of the company. A lot of people were upset that Vince left the country on his private jet and they were still stuck there. The superstars felt like they were deserted. Although it's unknown if Vince left before or after problems began to arise with the flight leaving, and they feel like they were pawns in this whole situation. Holy freaking shit. So it's even worse when your boss decides that he's going to leave. He not only left, he left his people in Saudi Arabia like with virtually no help. And he wasn't the only one. Vince wasn't the only person that was able to leave. It was anybody who had like enough money to charter a private jet. So you had Vince, you had Hogan, you had Flair, you had Tyson fucking Fury, and Brock Lesnar. So you got, this is stupid. For years and years and years, a lot of us have been saying WWE should not be holding, these Saudi Arabian events, considering that, things in that area have been really, really shady. But nobody cared. Vince didn't care. I shouldn't say nobody. Vince didn't care. He wanted the money, and he kept doing these shows regardless of things happening. And, we've had reports of superstars, nearly passing out from the exposure of heat and many other things. This doesn't fly well with me. I don't like the fact that Vince possibly left his superstars deserted in a place where people literally die. Where people die every day for practically almost no reason. In fact, they just recently, Crown Jewel had their first women's wrestling match ever with Natalya and Lacey Evans. Well, that's really great. That could also be a really bad thing, considering that they just left them there, and things could have gotten worse. Could have gotten worse. So I would be surprised. I'm hoping that Vince, gets everybody together and talk about what happened. The only problem is I don't think that's not gonna happen. Vince is probably just gonna say, I'm glad you're all home. Now let's go back and make more money. Because of all this stupidity, SmackDown wasn't running at full capacity, but we had probably one of, if not the greatest SmackDown ever coming to Fox right now with the NXT invasion. I think it was a great move by Triple H to have the NXT superstars come in and invade SmackDown. So hopefully, and I don't think they're gonna. I feel like they're not going to address what happened. But if this is any indication that there's a possibility of these superstars probably going to Vince and saying, next time you want to do a Saudi Arabia show, I'm out. Or, some of these guys walk and go to other companies. This should be a wake-up call for Vince that he shouldn't be doing this anymore. But I highly doubt it. Vince isn't going to listen. Vince is going to be convinced that this is working, and that as long as this money keeps coming in, this blood money that he's been getting from Saudi Arabia keeps coming in, they're going to keep doing these shows, and we as the fans are going to continue to suffer. Nobody watched this show. I didn't even watch the show. All I did was go on Twitter and see who won what matches. I was legitimately surprised when The Fiend won, and I was legitimately surprised when Tyson fucking Fury won. I don't know what they're planning or what they're going to do with these storylines, but I swear to God, I wish Vince would just listen to the people, listen to Triple H. If anything, if Steph and Triple H are in his ear going, please don't do this, Vince is going to have a lot to deal with. Not only will he be apparently running WWE, he's running his stupid XFL thing. So, fuck man, I don't like this idea of Vince being an idiot, but he's been an idiot for years, and I can't believe this is happening. I'm hoping things smooth out. I hope Vince does talk to his people and tell them he's sorry that he left him like that. But it's Vince, he's not gonna say anything. He's gonna say that's life, and then you die. So yeah, that's WWE in a nutshell. I might talk more about WWE stuff in the future, but who knows. Switching gears from the WWE to possibly another really tough subject. Alright. I gotta put up the shields, people. Gotta put up the shield. Because we're talking about Vic. We're talking about Vic Mignogna. Okay. Alright. See, I wanted to make a video on this guy for like a while. But I didn't know it would be too soon. I was like, I'm gonna make a video on Vic. And then something new comes out. And then even more things come out. And then other things come out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till this case is over to talk about Vic. This case isn't over yet. This isn't possibly gonna be over yet. So I'm gonna give you a quick TLDR of what's been going on with this situation. So when Dragon Ball Super Broly came out in January, there were some reports basically saying that Vic Mignogna was sexually harassing a lot of people. And some of them, and one of these rumors came from another voice actor in the Dragon Ball community, Monica Rial, voice of Bulma. Now, not only was it her, but it was a bunch of other people too saying that Vic had harassed and did all these terrible things. Now, these stories of and these allegations that Vic has been doing horrible things have been going on since I was in high school. So, from 2009 till now, this has been going on. So, they decided they launched an investigation, and basically it was like, Funimation was like, okay, Funimation, Rooster Teeth both dropped Vic. Vic was pretty upset. Vic was not in the dumps, and he doesn't wish ill will towards him. Vic's trying to keep a strong head about it. And then someone, I guess, brought this to a YouTube lawyer known as Nick Rekieta. Nick Rekieta basically was like, Vic could sue these guys for, character, like defamation of character. And a GoFundMe was made. and was raised enough money, and Vic was able to get a legal team, which comprised of Ty Beard and some other guy. So while this has been going on, the internet has been divided between, people supporting Vic and people condemning Vic. I stand with Vic and kick Vic. These guys have been feuding for the entirety of the last. This has been going on since January. So a good chunk of half a year. We went half a year going through this entire thing, and Vic's been fired from a lot of stuff. Vic's been taken out of a lot of conventions, and then he gets re-invited to some of these conventions, kind of like. And there were some rumors going around like, if you invite Vic back to this convention, then we walk, and Vic was invited back to these conventions, and then people walked. So then Vic, they went to court finally, and they got this judge. And something told me, like, Vic and these guys are going to get a no-nonsense judge, because this has been nothing but a farce that's been handled on Twitter. Twitter fingers been firing off left, right, and center. It's really, really dumb and really, really stupid. So, obviously, even I can tell, and I'm not even on I Stand With Vic. I knew, like, Ty Beard and the guy that was helping him out, they were on their game. The people, against Vic, they were a little bit more on their game. So, what was happening? They went to court, and practically everything, half the stuff got thrown out. Then they were going to do a mediation. Then the judge who came in and was like, then the judge started getting death threats from people, and the judge had to call both sides in and go, tell your sides to cut the shit. They cut the shit out. They couldn't reach an agreement, and then the rest of the stuff that Vic accused him of was tossed out. So, in other words, Vic lost the case. So you would think, okay, well, it doesn't prove, none of this proves that he did these horrible things. He wasn't condemned on anything. It was just he lost the case of, having these people, being sued out of money because they said some really horrible things about him. But that's not where it ends there. See, because of this case, a lot of weird shit just kept popping up. So next thing that popped up was the weird thing that happened with Funimation, the funny leaks, where there was, the voice actors went and they talked about Sacred Ointment, and there was some really sidebar. I'm gonna sidebar here and talk about the Goku clip right now. So there's one of the funny leaks. One of the leaks were Goku calling Gohan the F word. The F-A. You know where I'm talking about. I personally do not like the fact that he used those words to call. I don't like the fact that he used that word. I'm not really happy with Sean at that moment. And I've talked to, like I said, I talked to friends about this, people, and they were like, well, the funny leaks happened. The funny leaks happened because of what's going on with Vic. But these were things that were said like 10 to 15 years ago. It was a different time. I think you need, and when we both talked about it, we're like, I'm willing to forgive the funny leaks from happening because it was a few years ago, and I think Sean and the others have roughly changed their attitudes towards it since then. But there were still people out there going, this should get to Toei. Toei's going to take the license away, and Funimation's going to have nothing. And then even weirder shit came out, like a casting couch and people being nice and being flirty with each other. Like, there were videos out there of Monica and Vic being super nice to each other, and then flirty, and it's weird, and people think Vic got fired because of his faith, and then weird things happening. So what's happening now is Vic is trying to appeal, he's trying to appeal, and if these appeals go through, I guess it's same shit, different day now. I don't know. So I have nothing else to say about it, but this is kind of really whack. And the anime community has been constantly in turmoil because of it. But I wanted to read a series of tweets that I happened to just find while I was, you know, very interested. I didn't look in. This just popped up on my timeline in Twitter. So someone, let me see. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Chuck Hubert. This was on October 30th. So there was a conversation between Chuck and some people from like seemingly maybe people from both sides. I this was like there's like a picture posted where, let's see. So there, I know this guy. I know one of them. Zero resurrected. Mind you, when I say these people's names, don't go and like attack them or anything. Please, 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 pretty please. I'm begging you guys not to do that. Please. I think this Zero guy is supposed to be like Kick Vic. No, I stand with Vic. I'm sorry. He says, "I'm sorry, Chuck, but they have proven time and time again that they do not deserve compassion. They'll get compassion from you when they earn it. This happened because of them in the first place. You and Vic have have said almost nothing about it online. What's their excuse?" And that's true. Vic has not been saying anything about this case, but there are some things that they do say later in these string of tweets that I think should be warranted. So Chuck responds, "You shouldn't. Also, you must realize that your deserved compassion argument is identical to theirs," which is really interesting. At the same time, someone responds, "Man without fear responds." At the same time, Vic didn't ask for anyone to have balls. Chuck responds, he asked directly, but he directly asked people to be kind and not harass. I've also made my view clear. What is your reasoning for disregarding us? MWAF. You need to get in the mud and wrestle with the pigs. You get in there and defend what's right. People like me get dirty so you don't have to. I understand. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I do the things you don't. I go as far as I go farther than you. What is this? This is that was like straight out of an anime. Oh, like a really cheesy beat movie. Chuck responds, "From my perspective, your wrestling in the mud is causing my family further harm. If you choose to disregard my perspective, you are not doing so for me and appear to be wrestling in your own pleasure. Vic and I had both directly asked you to stop, but you ignored us." This man is. This man, I know he's fighting for the right reasons, but this is really being dumb. The side that holds back is the side that loses. They are holding back, but if you would prefer these people cancel you and Vic along with your legacies, that's up to you. The people I'm attacking are the ones who would rather see you and your family on the street. Chuck responds, "Ask how old you are to help me with my perspective. I ask because you appear to have the strength and courage and daring of a young person. These traits are so needed in this world. They also need to be directed by wisdom and experience. Thank you for your passion. I know you love anime and fighting for what you believe. Not especially. Old enough to have a family of my own and know what's at risk when some people will try to destroy your career just because they don't like you. I fight for what's right because evil only succeeds when good men do nothing." I know that's a quote from somewhere. That's a quote. That's literally a quote from like a movie or a TV show. Those go almost saying it's Doctor Who, but I don't think it is. And Chuck responds, "I may ask how you feel about hurting me and my family with your actions. How do you feel about ignoring what Vic directly asked? I'm open to suggestions if you think." And he, man of fear, responds, I'm open to suggestions if you think of a way to fight against the people that will have you and Vic on the street. The people who brought Vic's mother into it and who will bring kids into it if they could, if they haven't already. Yeah, that's the other thing I want to mention. These people, a lot of these fights bring in people's mothers and their families and their kids, and this is, I'm gonna make my point in a minute. So, there's still more stuff, and someone points out, Mr. Saeed here points something out, and I'm going to skip part of his tweet, and he goes, I'm going to speak up. Vic hasn't done anything to dissuade harassment, and he's working with Ricada, who's been encouraging this. Nick Ricada has been kind of stoking the fires a bit, and I'm not going to lie, I've seen a little bit of his streams. Who's been encouraging. Also, Vic has harassed him, and it's not something that should be swept under the rug. He has to face the consequences for what he's done. Okay, alright. Fair valid point. He needs to face fair valid point. If he's done these things, there's been no evidence yet. Okay, whoa. I'm sorry. I know I can't. There are things and phrases I have to tread carefully. If I say the wrong words, if I say the wrong words, you guys will just attack me for being a Vic stan or a Vic hater. I'm trying to be as neutral as I can. Chuck responds, I think the court's handling that portion of it well. While speaking to how we conduct ourselves and each other in the storm of not our own making. My advice goes for as much as for the people supporting Vic as those who do not. Vic's consequences are self-evident, ongoing. I mean, though those who support Saeed responds, I mean, but those supporting Vic are the ones who are going out to harass people like Monica and Jamie, and the former has been worried about her safety, not to mention they've harassed others too. Chuck responds, there has been enough harassment on both sides for an eternity. Trying to claim the throne of most harass is a futile endeavor and only causes more harassment. So, I'm leaning to the side. I'm sorry. Saeed says, I know you want peace and all, but we can't ignore things like sexual harassment and just expect it to move on. We have to tackle it and make sure it doesn't happen anymore. I've heard Vic is your friend and all, but he's in the wrong, honestly. Has this been ignored? And Saeed goes, I mean, I stand with Vic is trying to ignore it. Chuck responds, they certainly have not ignored it. There have been enough facts presented that people, including the conventions and studios, can make up their own minds. Trying to force people into different perspective is what's causing strife. Yes! Chuck, and it's perfect because he plays the most level-headed character, and in my own personal belief, in Dragon Ball. He plays the most level-headed character in Red 17. My experiences has taught me that you will never hate or berate someone in agreeing with you. Then someone with the fuck kind of handles? Oh wait, nuclear hurricanes. She has the same haircut style as my friend, and it's kind of creepy. It's a tad bit creepy. I don't know, maybe for me it is, but it's just one moment of me seeing the back of their head away from having an awkward moment. So nuclear hurricanes comes in, and she's like, "I'm sorry, but don't touch women without permission leads to those women being doxxed, harassed, rape, and death threats. Are we really berating the uncivilized hoarding into agreeing? Oh, why do we need an agreement? Don't grab a woman without consent." Chuck responds, "I understand your anger. Is there anything else you'd like me to hear? I'm listening." Chuck's doing a really good point here. I think he's trying to bring peace and balance here. So, let's see how she responds. She responds, well, I say look below at the harassment from the gent below. The one who uses docs information stretches the truth to smear me for nothing other than having been at cons around Vic and speaking on my experience with him. So where you're calling it, both sides look at the facts that every single affliction in this case was stopped. 10 months of endless harassment, 60k people blocked, only for them to keep coming with lies and exaggeration. Please stop playing both sides. And Chuck responds, thank you for responding so kindly. I understand your frustration. I have received personal insults and death threats from both sides, and it was never fun. I try to recall times in my life where I resorted to personal insults and usually came out with great inner pain. I was not willing to deal with great inner pain that I was not willing to deal with in the moment. That helps me love those who are hating me. I work in foster care in Chicago for Children's Home, in AIDS society. If your experience is anything resembling my clients, my kids, then I imagine your perspective on sexual abuse is one that not many average people could comprehend. To that end, I believe that many misunderstand you because of their inability to fathom the pain that you've likely endured and survived. Though it's not my place, I may offer you an apology on behalf of those who don't understand and attack you personally. To do so is incredibly wrong. Wrong regardless of their intent. May I approach this premise of both sides by saying that even the legal case itself has no fewer than four sides. My perspective is not represented on either of the two sides that you referenced, though. They are the dominant ones online. Also, may I call you Jennifer? Feel free to call me Chuck. And she responds, actually, I go by Lynn. You may use that or LJ, which seems to be the fad with among the kiddos. And I appreciate the effort to curtail this. I hope you can get fixed similarly on board, because these kinds of attacks need to stop. She is so right. These attacks need to quit. The doxing, the bringing people's families and children. This needs to end. Vic didn't want this. Vic doesn't want this. Monica doesn't want this. Jamie doesn't want this. Anybody who's been involved with this case, they don't want this. So then another person comes in and says Vic has repeatedly said, do not attack anyone, do not be mean to anyone. That for those who may dislike him, that he may still ultimately cares about them despite everything. But that kindness has two-way street, hun. You can be bitter at the world and it won't solve a thing. Oh man, this is so much to read. Nuclear Hurricane Lee responds, when? The issue he has said it way back before this lawsuit and has not done that. His buddy behavior with one of those people has perpetuated a lot of harassment, and his own lawyer citing the farms goes a lot against those early words. That's right. That did happen. I can't take his calls not to harass people when he's also out there saying women like me who have worked with him were attention seeking and gaslighting so many women. This is why Vic should not be active in calling for an end to this. Not just one tweet 9 months ago. The guy responds, he said it all the time at panels and other streams. He says, be positive, be a voice for good. One person can't control others. That up to them to take the words at heart. If people don't listen, that's on them. But please don't say that he didn't ask for when he did. She responds, right, but that's on stage. If he goes right back to Beard and Ricada, who are the source of the harassment, do his action aligns with his message. Honestly, a lot of Vic's challenge is not realizing when he isn't living to his own word and standards. At this point, he seriously needs to address this, not in the panel where he has mass support. He needs to disavow the YouTubers, tell them that while he thanks them for his support, this is not how he wants them to act in his name, and ensure that he will break ties with anyone he perpetuates. If he specifically calls for the farms to stop doxing his colleagues and disavow the actions of you folks, I'll be willing to offer a tentative benefit of doubt. The person responds, even if he had told people in private or in a tweet to stop the attacks on his behalf, I don't think people will. Due to the amount of hate that's been tossed around, it's the internet, and people for good or bad will do as they will. She responds, I'm not that naive, but he needs to make a broad public statement. Because, and as I said, control what he can. If Tug, Ricada, and Hirohei and company can't stop harassment, then he needs to treat them as persona non grata. He can ask his lawyer to similarly speak about his own contribution and apologize for his part in escalating it, and such and calling on the farms to go after people. He can tell his assistant / whisper to not be on the farms, egging harassers and doxers on. All of those areas are in his control, and without those elements, who have direct ties to Vic, making constant and digging for new controversy to generate views and super chats, a lot of the drama goes away. Making constant content and digging for new controversy. The person responds, I do agree. Of most of those who commented, well, this is taking it the wrong way, hun. I'm not for one for bullying, nor I am not calling you naive, so if it came out like that, I am so sorry. She says, no offense taken, the fact that you were not blocked meant that you do not follow any of the problems. But this is why I wish Vic would take deliberate effort to curb it among the zealots who've latched onto him. I know not all Vic fans are absurd stanza bullies. I actually feel for those he resonated with, in part over his faith in reconciling foes and their hobbies. I want Vic to be better for them, if nothing else. But there is a cancerous minority that don't care about Vic or none of this, and thriving on their own agendas. Many of them don't even belong to our fandom. That part has to end. And Chuck responds, I'd be sure he gets your message. Thanks for doing so in such a kind and thoughtful manner. And the last few tweets here are just someone mentioning that Vic's close relationship with Ricada is very problematic. Ricada is aggressively toxic, gaslighting demagogue. He is the last person who should be associating with him. So, I personally agree here. This shit needs to end. This fighting needs to stop. People need to realize, that nobody wins. We're all gonna get hurt. And Vic needs to know, he needs to personally come out there himself and say something. And I think the people who want people to be hurt and want people to, who want these little voice actors to be hurt and ruined. This needs to end. The fighting has to stop. Nobody wins. And I'm a guy I'm a black guy on the internet. I'm a black guy on the internet begging for a bunch of people to stop fighting. And it's not gonna happen. I know it's not. But I'm begging, I'm pleading with you guys. Be a little nicer to each other. Try to see both sides of the story. Me personally, I'm on no one's side. I'm neither kick Vic nor I stand with Vic. I'm a guy who is looking at all of this from the outside, looking in. From the outside. And going, this has been a shit show since January. We're in the month of November. And this shit needs to stop. This fighting, the doxing, the bringing people's families into this. Why are you bringing people's families into this is beyond my comprehension. This shit needs to end. Nobody wins, and you're just what do you gain from all this? What do you gain from either tearing people's families apart and ruining people's lives? You get to just rub it in their face that I was right and you were wrong. Yeah, the people out there who go, there are people out there that's like, yeah, Vic's being invited to conventions, and then the next second you still hear someone going, but Vic's still fired. He's still fired. Why are you happy? Why are you happy that he's still getting conventions? He's never gonna get work again. He's gonna be a loser for the rest of his life. That's the problem. We all need to stop fighting. We all need to stop going and condoning things. So, I'm gonna make a plea, and I'm gonna ask a lot of you guys to try to spread this around. I'm gonna try to spread this around as much as I can too. So this goes for Hero Hey, Yellow Flash, That Umbrella Guy, Nick Ricada. Hell, if Mars Girl is out there somewhere, this is for you. Anybody who stands with Vic, I kick Vic. I'm calling for a ceasefire. I want a ceasefire. Nobody wins. We all lose. That's like the motto from the little tagline from Alien vs. Predator. Nobody wins. We all lose. So you all need to make some videos out here. Go and spread the word and say we want the fighting to stop. We want people to be treated with kindness and respect. We want people to be treated with kindness and respect. If y'all truly the fans you say you are, yeah, I said it. If you guys are truly fans of this man's work and are fans of what this man stands for and what this man has been saying, then you need to stop the fighting, stop the violence, stop the fighting, stop the tearing of families apart. This shit needs to end, man. This shit ends. This shit needs to end. I'm Kamen Rider Thespian. Vince McMahon is a big, massive fucking idiot for going to Saudi Arabia multiple times and getting his blood money. And the fighting needs to stop. Have a great day, guys. Love each other. Care. Do whatever you want. But don't drag people's families into this. Be kind to each other. Care for each other. Love each other. Try to be friends. That's all I ask.